we get off base, either get ourselves thrown into discouragement because we've made plans that are or set expectations that are really based on ideals and not reality, wishful, hopeful thinking and planning that then no plan survives first contact with the enemy. But we don't expect that. We think that then something was wrong with our plan. So we have to get our thinking and our mindset around these tactics on point for them to really work for us. Hi, I'm Mystie Winckler, author of The Convivial Homeschool Gospel Encouragement for Keeping Your Sanity While Living and Learning Alongside Your Kid. And if you are a homeschooler like me, you are probably planning your next homeschool year right now and how it's going to be so much better. You're going to get everything set up just right so that it works this time around. Or maybe your head is buried in the sand and you're trying to procrastinate and postpone and put off setting up your next homeschool year because you just don't even want to think about it. No matter which camp you are in this year, I wanted to share this clip from a few years ago where we were from inside my community, Convivial Circle. It's a troubleshooting session from our Art of Homeschooling program. And I clipped some of the highlights from this workshop that we did to give you encouragement and a little pep talk for your upcoming school year. So grab a basket of laundry to fold and let's dig in. You don't have to 100% complete the whole course to still get something out of it and to still find something that is super applicable and just what you needed, the one thing that you needed to make the next step progression. So none of anything is going to get us a 100% perfect homeschool or a 100% perfect life, organized life, right? Sometimes we mean by organized life, like perfect. Everything's going our way. It's all awesome. That's not true for life, and it's not true for homeschooling. So our goal as we work through the work of homeschooling, our endpoint goal that we're working on is not that we will have a perfect homeschool. We are just trying to iterate on our homeschool day. And if you make a next step iteration, you put something into practice that is really a good next step for you and your kids that helps you get that actual work done in the day-to-day, then that's what we're looking for, and that's success. Not checking all of the boxes all of the time, and not for them, not for the kids, and not for us, right? The check box, and we'll be talking about this because checklists are an integral part of this course. I would not homeschool without checklists, but we don't necessarily, the checklists are not the be all end all either. And there are ways to get everything checked off that still, we'd better not count that as success because of the way we were interacting with the kids or the manner in which it was accomplished matters more, but the work still does matter. And so we use the checklists to track how we're doing. And it's the same thing with the checklists that you are getting with this course. They are reminders for the things that will likely help you and the things that you're trying out, that you're iterating on to help you find the practices that enable you to have a more consistent, more reliable, more productive homeschool day. Let me read here some of the things that people have said. Let's see. Abby says the prep sheet and the water. So we start the day with water. It's one of the habits because sometimes it's the little things that really do matter that we're forgetting and missing out on that are going to make a big difference. So, drinking water, having it, or at least getting a cup of water before you start your day is one of the habits in the work of homeschooling. An alignment sheet. So, that's reminding ourselves of truth before we get started. Liz says checklists for her kids. She bucked at it the first time, but it has helped so much. Awesome. Heather says checklists and having my water and reviewing her alignment card. Yes. And all of so checklists, I think that's week 2, but the water and the alignment card are this first week. So I find that interesting, and all of us should take note of that. The first week contained some of the practices that were the biggest help and the biggest takeaways that people are still using. So even if later on in the course you don't end up finishing, there's going to be another time to come around. You have access to the materials, you can come back to it. But if you pay attention to the first week and really honestly try it out, right there, that might have just the pieces that you need to. Stephanie says her biggest takeaway from last time was getting the homeschool morning routine set for herself. Yeah. Robin said checklists also. And she made checklists for them and not only her. So it's not all on her to know what everyone is doing all the time, because that was exhausting. Yeah. And throughout the course is not just going to tell you, get a drink of water, make checklists. Those are the assignments. But of course, there's minutes worth. There's a lesson that really gets at what the heart behind doing the practice is, so that we can do it with the right approach, with the right expectations. Just be mentally aware of what we're actually doing. These aren't tactics in and of themselves that matter so much as they are ways of applying principles. So they are tied to principles. And a lot of times our expectations, our mindset, our principles behind our actions are where we get off base, either get ourselves thrown into discouragement because we've made plans that are, or set expectations that are really based on ideals and not reality, wishful, hopeful thinking and planning that then no plan survives first contact with the enemy. But we don't expect that. We think that then something was wrong with our plan. So we have to get our thinking and our mindset around these tactics on point for them to really work for us. And so the lessons, even if you fall off in building the habits, or maybe getting checklists for everyone is just going to be so much work that you really can't do any of the other pieces. But if that's the piece that you need to work on, spend the time doing that. And just listen to the lessons, and you'll get those ideas percolating. I was the oldest. I saw how my mom did it and was always critiquing how she could have done it better. Bossy older sibling, lived to regret it and tell about it. On the one hand, it was harder because it was not socially acceptable. We did not go out of the outside school hours because people couldn't handle it. During school hours, we stayed home until I got to be about 13 or 14. Then people maybe had heard of homeschooling and were still a little bit freaked out, but they knew that you weren't truant. And so there was just a countercultural approach. If you were homeschooling, you knew you were countercultural and you weren't trying to fit in. And that was part of being homeschooled. So there was that was different from today. And that was probably harder because you really did not have the moral support of anyone except your little small, tiny group of people. On the other hand, without all of the curriculum and all of the helps and all of the options, it was actually way easier, I think, because you have that decision fatigue, that pressure to do the best, find the best, the research. You didn't have to research what material to use. You used a Becca or Bob Jones or nothing. We were a Bob Jones family. Like those were your options and you just did them. And homeschooling meant you did your work in your workbook and then you went to the library. And that's pretty much what every homeschooling family that's of my generation, you did your workbooks and you went to the library. And it was the library that was the actual education. And yeah, more choices does not mean easier. So for sure. And we feel like we have to find something that's the best fit for us. And that's another thing. I think that the original homeschoolers, the pioneers, didn't expect it to be easy and fun all the time. I think sometimes now people choose homeschooling thinking it's going to be this fun time with their kids all the time. And the pioneer homeschoolers knew that it was serious work that they were taking on. Okay, so that was a tangent. There's something that's not working. And so we're like, nothing's working. And we just want to scrap it all. And we don't realize, like, our kids do that too. And then we want to clamp down and they're in trouble and they have to just do it. And they're just having the same response that we are. They are expressing it differently. They're expressing it. They don't know how to handle it. And really neither do we, but they're trying to express that same feeling. And I think when we can see that the same kinds of reactions that we have or what our kids are experiencing helps us know how to handle it and deal with it. And also see like they're freaking out and just take a step back and it's not all broken. Let's figure out what we can do to make this work. And that's hard and it takes time. It takes a lot of emotional energy. But yeah, we get internal resistance to doing school and our kids definitely get that too. And as they go into those teen years, they need to start owning their work more, but just telling them to and giving them the assignment doesn't work. That's not how responsibility grows. And you're basically telling them, okay, here, you're in charge. And they're saying, okay, great, I'm in charge. I decide I don't have to do it. That's what I did as a 12-year-old. And it was a little bit too long before my mom caught on that that's what was going on. So don't give them decision-making power, or if they assume that that's what you're doing too soon or without that support and that checking up. That is from experience on both ends. Don't expect what you don't inspect. Like the kids' bathroom. Oh man, that's the truth. I hope these clips from our Art of Homeschooling workshop from a few years ago were encouraging to you. If you need these kind of pep talks, if you need coworkers who are also doing their best to homeschool well with a lot on their plates, then you belong with us inside Convivial Circle. We're going to be working through the art of homeschooling starting August 30th for 6 weeks. It will be a 6-week motivation and accountability boot camp to help you get your homeschool year off to a strong start. As homeschoolers, we need to make hay while the sun shines, and September is the time to put our heads down and get a strong start. And working through Art of Homeschooling with us is the best way to do that. You can find more information about this course and enroll by going to simplyconvivial.com/art. That's simplyconvivial.com/art. Or you can find the link in the show notes. Homeschooling is important work. That's why it's exhausting, perplexing, and sometimes just downright hard. But you can make over your homeschool's atmosphere because the atmosphere starts with you. Art of Homeschooling will help you do just that, and it's available inside Convivial Circle. Together, we will repent, rejoice, repeat.